Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Thank you for being on our call today. Thank you for those who are here live and also those who are joining us on the podcast. I want to encourage all of us to really give our full attention to this call today and just see what we get to learn. Those of you who are listening on the podcast, if you're new to the podcast, we always start with a 90-second private silent meditation. And I encourage you, wherever you are, if you're driving, to pull over just for 90 seconds and grab some paper or in your phone or whatever, take some notes of inspiration that you receive on gratitude for pure intent. That's the subject that we're going to focus on today, is gratitude for pure intent. And we'll see what comes up. So set the timer for 90 seconds and just that silent private meditation on gratitude for pure intent, writing whatever comes to you, and begin. All right. Two experiences came to me, two experiences that I haven't thought of for a long time. One experience was when I was on a committee and I was just a teenager. I was probably like 13 or 14 years old, and on a committee to come up with a summer activity. And it was back in the day. Most of you are probably not old enough to remember this, but they used to have a show on every week that was called Almost Anything Goes. And it was just like all these crazy like relay activities, obstacle courses, all kinds of crazy things that they would put people through, experiences that they would put people through to work together as a team. And it was like anything goes. Like you did not know what the experience was going to be, but you had to work together as a team to be successful. And it was super fun. We used to love watching that show. And I remember I was on this committee with some other youth, and I suggested that. I was like, what about an Almost Anything Goes? And it, was just kind of like passed over. The suggestion was kind of passed over. Nobody really, I think, even heard me. And it was probably because I was like super shy back then and probably didn't even say it very loud, and maybe they didn't even hear it. But to me, I heard it. I knew I had said it. And so it was a thing. And then later on in the discussion, I'm probably like a good 15 or 20 minutes later, my best friend, who sometimes would do things like this, said, "How about Almost Anything Goes?" And everybody loved the idea. And I remember just sitting there like in a daze. My eyes were just like, my mouth dropped open and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But I was so shy that I didn't like stick up for myself and say, hey, I just, said that like 15 minutes ago. Didn't anybody hear me? I just kind of sat there and was resentful and just looked at my friend and I was like, what in the heck? How could you have done that to me? Because that's the way I felt. And then, so there's one experience. And then other experience that came to me was when I was an adult and on a committee and coming up with some ideas for youth to do. And we have a theater that does, live plays here locally, and they're really good. It's a family that owns the theater, and it's been around for years and years and years, like probably decades. And I said, what if we contact this theater and ask them if they have like because we were trying to do things, at low cost. And I said, what if we contact them and see if there's like a dress rehearsal or something that we could go see? And somebody said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's, and so somebody took that idea and contacted them, and they said yes. They were doing a dress rehearsal and they let our group come for free. And we had like a private performance. It was so awesome. And I remember halfway through the play, I was sitting next to someone who had also been on the committee. And I looked at her and I said, this was such a great idea. I go, whose idea was this? And she looked at me and she just like kind of backed away from me and looked at me like, are you crazy? And she's like, you did. I'm like, I did? And I totally had forgotten that I was the one who had suggested it. And the thought that came to me was in the first example where I wanted my idea to be the one, that was, and it is the one that they actually went through with. They did this almost anything goes. And like the whole time I was resentful that I was not the one who got the credit for that idea. And then in the other one, I just was like enjoying the moment. And I was like, I didn't remember that I was the one who had suggested it. And I feel like God can accomplish so much when we don't care who gets the credit. If we're just all working together to create something wonderful together, then, we don't remember or keep score or try to make sure that we get, the credit for something. If we're just working together as a family unit or a community unit to create a great outcome for everyone, then everybody's experience is fulfilling and enjoyable. And that's the way I felt with that second experience, was just fulfillment, enjoyment. I'm just like, this is awesome. I'm not, thinking about my part that I played in it or anything like that. And it just is like night and day difference. Who else has something they'd like to share?
Acha.
Deepti.
So a lot of things, like I think intention and action always goes in combination. Like your intention might be good. Like maybe let's just take an example of a family member, maybe the action is like they're shouting or, at you for, doing something, but the intention is good because they care for you. And the same can apply vice versa, wherein the actions may be very sweet of someone towards you, but their intention can be like a hidden agenda. So I think intention and action always go hand in hand. And another example I thought of is there's one Indian god called Lord Shiva. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it. So we have a lot of Hindu gods, out of which one is Lord Shiva. So he never believes in rituals and ceremonies and all of that, which there is a lot of tradition in Hinduism as such. But Lord Shiva is a believer of pure intention and a pure heart. So he doesn't care if someone, is sitting for a puja, like it's, I don't know if you guys even understand what's a puja, but it's like a ceremony with the fire. So if you are sitting for that, but if you, so ideally you're supposed to bathe and sit and, wear particular clothes and stuff like that. But Lord Shiva always believes in, if you don't do all of the things, but you have the pure intent of, connecting with God and all of that, then it's okay. or like pure intent is above, rituals or, anything. So these two things I wanted to share.
Beautiful. Thank you. We in Christian religion have a similar belief to that the law of Moses was all about the rituals. It was all about the laws and following and make sure that you only take this many steps and things like that. But when Christ came, he did away with the law, and all he asks is pure intent. He just asks for a pure heart, for a broken heart, and a contrite spirit. That's all that he asks. And
same.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Robert.
Well, one thing I thought of, many, was when you have that pure intent, you don't have competition between, say, husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I started realizing that my wife and I, probably started out with pure intent in our relationship. And as time wore on, and whether it was the brain tumor in her head or something, or change in me, I'll be clear a possibility. But I think it was the tumor personally. There became a competition between us. And I realized that competition that was through pure intent has become a competition in our divorce. And now we are competing with ourselves, with each other, as we did for too many years, without the pure intent in our heart.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Robert. I know that to some extent, probably at some point in all, or maybe most, or maybe all of our those who are married, or had someone that was really significant in their lives, that we may have had to experience that. And it's what a wonderful opportunity for us to take a look at our own relationships. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Who else? Melinda?
So I put that I'm so grateful for the pure intent of myself and others in this day where the threats against the family in Christ are giving their best shot. And I imagine the people and communities of Zion coming together, and like Deepti said, the God who in India that wants pure intent, right? And just your soul to be united. And I imagine what comes to mind is a past gratitude call that you did, like when I very first started joining call back in March or April. A visual that came to your mind was that we came together like Red Rovers, like the game Red Rover.
Yeah.
And this as a battalion, right? And we all come together, I feel like, especially in this call or other Zion communities that we create, to protect one another from the threats and to protect each other's families. And another image that comes to mind was like Newsies, when those boys just all came together to like fight off something that was just wrong. And I think about the threats with the comments that have been made, like the threats of pride and competition. And as we come together every morning, you started this off as like an addiction recovery program. And I feel like for me, it's been that, but it's also been a way to like come together as a strong group to protect our families every day by starting off with gratitude and with love and like, yeah, we can do this. Let's do this again today.
Beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that about, this started out as an addiction recovery call. It was a way for people to stay connected in gratitude, because we found that one piece, gratitude, was a like an antidote for addiction, because addiction, causes people to kind of turn away from and kind of go inward. And gratitude, if you're grateful for something, you have to be expressing it and connecting with other people that you're maybe grateful for or whatever. So there's that connection that happens with gratitude. And I've seen an evolution of this call as you're mentioning it. I can see that it started out as a safety or protection from a fear, but now it still is that. It's great for people who are kind of in that fear state of just, not knowing how to stay positive during the day or whatever. But it also has evolved into now being motivated by love and coming together in love and pure intent to create. And that's the evolution of our lives. If we're in a place of fear, then we can't create from a place of fear. We have to get to a place of creation. We have to step out of this lower level survival mode. We have to get to a place where we recognize that all resources are available, and we have all this abundance, and just grateful for everything. And that's what we've created here on this call. So thank you for sharing that, because I've seen, it's like happened so gradually, you just don't notice it, but it's definitely been an evolution just as a life. The gratitude call has a life of its own, and it's evolving and growing. Thank you.
Can I add a simple message with that?
Mm-hmm.
Or just a simple thought that came?
Yeah.
I thought about family prayer, right? Like prayers over meals when you're young, or at least in the Christian culture. It's like you pray because you don't want to get sick over the food you're eating, right? You're like, oh, I got to say my prayer and make sure like this is legit. And I started thinking about if we evolve our prayers in our family into true, pure gratitude, like this call has evolved, like it can be a bonding. I mean, maybe a lot of people do. Maybe this is just for me, right? But
No,
it can be
it's
a bonding experience for your family to come in true prayer of like, no, I'm just grateful for this food and for each other.
Wow. Thank you. So powerful. I love everything that you shared. Thanks, Melinda. Any other thoughts? I'm just going to read what Deepti wrote in the chat. She says, I keep focusing on pure intent, thinking it's the God who will make my final report card. Others who notice me or not doesn't matter. Very powerful to know that it doesn't matter, if others notice what we're doing. God is, we're walking with God, like we talked about yesterday. Thanks. Laura.
What came to me, and I love that, by the way. And, one thing that is helpful with focusing on God is, when you do these daily calls, wondering about, it's inevitable that you wonder, oh, are people going to show up, la-di-da. But when you're focused on that, you're doing it for him, then, and you taught me that. So thank you.
Thank you.
So what had come to me, that when intentions are pure, it means that they're moving through a clear channel of energy, right? Through our body, mind, and spirit. And it's one that's completely illuminated with no darkness, right? Mm-hmm. That's when it's absolutely pure. And one thing I'm grateful for in regards to this purity is I used to feel like purity was kind of beyond my control, because I couldn't quite get my body's energy clear. I just didn't know how to get to where I wasn't having those kind of automatic body responses of fear or, lack or whatever. And that energy work is so vital, and the mental work, like this is mostly mental and spiritual, what we do. Mm-hmm. On this call, but this is also so important. But I had this, right, to some degree, not completely, but it's just for me, it was just such a beautiful thing to see the evolution of moving into that purity. And it's not just like forcing myself to think thoughts. That's not what purity is. Mm-hmm. Although thinking right thoughts is definitely a part of it. So, but anyway, that was kind of what, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I know we've talked a lot about the space between, and at first when I was thinking about the space between, I would be like breathing and wanting to like clear out all the crap and everything. And kind of, again, like that evolution process of starting out from fear. It's like, I want to get rid of something, right?
Yeah.
But then more, as I continued to ponder on this idea of the space between, which, by the way, this is going to be probably November's masterclass, the space between. But I'm realizing now that there is no void, like there's no space. There's always there. We've learned this last week. We talked about this, that there's always something everywhere. That energy, something exists everywhere. And that to fill that space between with faith and charity. So, definitely clearing those channels, but it's never going to be like this void, empty space. And so faith and charity is what I wrote, as you were talking, is what fills those channels that allow us to have pure intent.
Well, the space is God.
Mm-hmm.
God fills the space.
There we go.
So God is always there. We don't have to fill the space.
Right.
God, it has God there, but it doesn't have things. And so
awesome.
We don't focus on, it's like particle form. It's like the whole idea of, and we move as particles and waves, right? And light moves as a particle and a wave. And so when it's moving as a particle, right, it has this existence in time and space that's right there, boom, and it's fixed. But then when it goes back into waveform, then it's into that where it can present as anything. So it's pure potential. And so this potential is in the space. God is in the space. Mm-hmm. We're not in the space until we identify with the space within us. And then it's everywhere. And for us, it feels like when we go into space, it feels like going into nothingness, because we let go of the somethingness that we think we are. We let go of our identity. We let go of our perceptions, our ideas, everything, roles, and that's where pure potential comes in. And that's where we can really quickly manifest too, as well as feel that fulfillment. Right. So I mean, it's just amazing. And then the verse that came to me was Philippians 4:8. But anyway, you might have something to say about what I just said.
Yeah. And I'm going to just suggest that on the Breakthrough with Gratitude group, if you want to share something about waves and particles, because I know that's probably new concepts. Okay. We talk about this in the Lord's Way to Wealth Mastermind. So if you're not familiar with that, then maybe you can post something about that, Laura, a little more information. But I also just want to upgrade what I was saying about, the space between filling that with faith and charity. That's something that we can choose. We can choose to have faith. We can choose to have charity. But what you're saying is that God is already there. And so that statement, let go and let God, takes on new meaning. It's
right.
Just pretend like there's nothing else, that you don't have an agenda, that you have pure intent to just like let your space be filled already with whatever is already there, which is God.
Yes.
God is faith and God is charity. So, I mean, those things already exist. All we have to do is just let go of our idea that we have to clear it out and fill it up with something, because we don't. It's already filled with something.
Right.
I love that. Thank you.
And then Philippians 4:8.
Okay.
That verse is like, it's like where it's the definition of purity, right? Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. So Paul gave us the formula, in that verse,
pure intent.
To have pure intent. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. See, Deepti, and then we'll move into our permission process.
So just quickly to add to what the conversation was going on about, I think that one of our foot is always on the gas pedal in a car.
Mm-hmm.
think how to reach the space between, as fast as possible, but we are already fueled up. The problem with all of us is we forget that our other foot is on the brakes, and that is what is, keeping us further away from the space between. So until we don't get rid of our limiting beliefs, or
Mhm.
being stuck in the 3D, until we don't let those brakes away from us, we are going to zoom there. Like, we can reach there the quickest possible way if, we let go of the brakes we have within ourselves.
Beautiful. Thank you. Great confirmation, just of what we've just shared. Just a really good anchoring visual of that. And now's a great opportunity. Thanks, Deep Tea. And now's a great opportunity for us to shift into our permission process so that we can take our foot off the brake and just go. Allow all of those spaces between to be filled with pure intent. It's already there. God's already there. So all we have to do is just let go of those limiting things that are not allowing him to show up fully for us. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath. And just as you're breathing in this time, just allow the breath to clear out any thoughts or limiting, just anything that feels limiting, darkness, shadow, heaviness, anything within you. Just allow it to be cleared out with this breath. And as you are clearing out those spaces between, just actually even envision all of the spaces between the physical matter of your body, that there are space between. And just as you're clearing this space out, notice what is still present there. And just take note of what it looks like in between the bits of matter within your body. What is there? Where we might have thought that it was just air and space, it's actually filled with something. And just allow your consciousness to be aware of what you are full of. And if it's something beautiful and light and wonderful, that's awesome. If you're seeing that there is something negative that you're full of, that's an opportunity for you to find those limiting beliefs about yourself, because as has been shared, God is in that space between. Faith and charity exist there. And if you're seeing something else, then that's a limiting belief that has been created at some time in your life about you. And this is an opportunity right now to make a choice to give yourself permission to choose something different if it serves you. So just take note of what you're seeing as the space between. And any limiting beliefs that are showing up for you that would stop you from having pure intent, would slow that process of moving to pure intent. And as you're noticing what those limiting beliefs are, also be aware of the cost. What if you're seeing it in the spaces between, in the matter between the matter of your body, what is the likely outcome of these limiting beliefs? What's the cost of having these limiting beliefs inside of your body in this way? And if you don't like that cost, if you are wanting to give yourself permission to choose a new belief that will allow something different to be there, say yes.
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 Awesome. And then what are some new beliefs? You get to choose. You are the creator of your own world. And you create by words. That's the way the gods did it in the beginning. And it's the way that you still can do it now. Your words create your outcome. And so what words, what new beliefs will give you the opportunity to have pure intent within your body to allow your channels of energy to be completely clear, and just allow the physical presence of God to be there, Holy Spirit, faith, charity, all of these things, pure intent, all these things that were mentioned in Philippians, that Paul has mentioned, to be filled with things of good report, of beauty, of praiseworthy things. What new beliefs will serve you in filling you up with all of those things that take you to pure intent as the end result? And go ahead and take one more deep breath and just breathe in these new beliefs. And as you're breathing in, just as you were clearing those spaces before, as you breathe in this time, fill those spaces up with these new beliefs, and allow these new beliefs to be the physical catalyst to you being transported to a state of being of pure intent. Allow these new beliefs to be the physical evidence, the physical particles that now you can actually see something in these spaces where maybe you weren't able to see clearly what was there before, that these new beliefs are coursing through and in between all of the spaces of the matter in your body and healing you and making you whole and perfect, complete, beautiful, powerful, confident, God within. And as this new person that you're becoming because of these new beliefs, there is one action step that you can take today, your inspired shortcut, that will really anchor in these new ideas, these new beliefs, and show you that there is evidence that this is who you are, that you do operate with pure intent, that pure intent exists within you because God exists within you. What is the one most important thing that you could do today to really give you confidence and knowledge that you are operating from pure intent? In a moment, I'm going to open it up for a couple of quick shares, and would like to also invite anyone who is feeling like they need some extra support in this area to schedule a 15-minute call with me. And all you have to do is just go to askwylene.com, and that will take you to my calendar, and you can schedule a 15-minute call. Askwylene.com. Who has something? Tyree? And DT.
I was really surprised that my limiting belief was I can't let go of the pain and hurt. And I was like, what? And then I pondered on that for a second, and I thought it's safer here. And I was like, no, it's not. So I'm obviously going to let that go. Some of my new beliefs, something that I realized is that pure intent also goes with being sincere and authentic, like we talked about the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am sincere, authentic, and of pure intent. I have God in my space between, and I am filled up with all of Christ's attributes.
Beautiful, beautiful. I just have to mention, pure intent would never have an intent to harm or to have pain or hurt be the result. So any pain or hurt that you're feeling was not either given with pure intent or you didn't perceive it as pure intent. And so if you can maybe even kind of shift that perception of where the pain and hurt came from, that might help as well. Thanks, Tyree. Deep
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Deep tea.
So I'd like to tell Tyree first that every time I feel something like that, like a pain or something, I keep reminding myself that this is disconnecting me from God,
Mm-hmm.
and my target is always to reach there. So not that I don't feel it, but I keep reminding my faith in God by this. And my new belief for today is my faith is in God and all things good. His love watches over me at all times.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. So powerful. Well, thank you all for everything that you've shared today. Wonderful call, as always, just coming together with pure intent. This is what gets created. So I love you all. We'll look forward to being back together tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And thank you again so much.
Love you. Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.